Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Got it. Think I just heard it.
All righty.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for having us in today. We certainly are excited about our new fiscal year. The mayor and council has given us so many resources to work from in the upcoming year, and we're really excited about it. I know I've had the opportunity to work with your council member quite often, and we want to make sure that we're getting the right strategies out and making sure that we're addressing the right issues for the people in District 1. I know one of the things that Councilwoman Rowell wanted me to do was to talk to you all a little bit about the crime statistics, most specifically in District 1. I can tell you that, while violent crime has been going up throughout the region, we've been very fortunate in the city of South Fulton where we've seen reductions. For instance, we had 3 homicides in District 1 this time last year, and we've had none in District 1 so far this year. Aggravated assaults are pretty stagnant. We've had 27 as opposed to 28 this time last year. I can tell you one of the crimes that's driving the numbers in District 1 right now is larcenies. And most of those larcenies have been as a result of shoplifting and things of that nature. And so that's been something that we've seen on the rise, not just in South Fulton, but throughout the region. In fact, just today, we had the opportunity to work a joint detail with the city of East Point, the city of Atlanta, the city of South Fulton, because to target those individuals that were going into places like TJ Maxx and a lot of different big box retailers and just walking out with lots of items. And it's been a theft ring that's been operating between all of our cities. And so on today, I know everybody knows about our flock cameras, but today we were able to track the movements of those individuals through our flock cameras, and we were able to place 2 of the people in custody. And so far, we've been in the process of interviewing them, and we've gotten some really good information and intelligence as it relates to the ring itself. And we've been able to close cases in the city of South Fulton. We've been able to close some in East Point, and some in the city of Atlanta as well. And so we're excited about that joint effort between us and those jurisdictions. We're going to continue to keep those up. I know some of the complaints that I've gotten from people in District 1, it's been about tractor trailers. I had my people pull the numbers of the amount of tractor trailer tickets we've written just in District 1 so far this year, and it's been 241. I know that we've started to focus a lot on boat rock. I'm constantly getting complaints from one of my favorite citizens. Every time she sees a tractor trailer coming down boat rock, she makes it a point to reach out to me. And so we make sure that we go by and give boat rock love. And so they went by there today and wrote several citations as well. And so one of the good things about that number of citations is that the mayor and council agreed to up the ordinance. They upped the fine for it to $1,000 on the first offense. And so that really should get the attention of a lot of those tractor trailer drivers. As the word gets around, we're hopeful that they'll be more mindful of our truck routes. I've sat out in front of the precinct on Cascade and stopped one tractor trailer after another myself. And so I believe it's going to be a constant work in progress. And so we're kind of up to the task. We just want to make sure that we continue to fill out our traffic unit so that we can increase our enforcement capabilities. Another thing that we're working on right now is our LPRs. We're in the process right now of trying to, and if you don't know what LPRs, they're license plate readers. We've had, what we were doing today with that detail, we were able to track suspect vehicle information as a result of those license plate readers. Well, we want to make sure that we expand our reach on those so that we can continue to solve crimes. We're looking at putting more along the South Fulton Parkway area, more along Fulton Industrial, and certainly more along that Cascade Road corridor. We've put some along Old National. The problem with streets like Old National and Fulton Industrial, the traffic is so heavy that those LPRs have to be hardwired. And obviously they cost a little bit more money, but we've been fortunate because we're going to reinvest some of that camera money, the money from the school cameras into more technology. We're looking at using those fundings those monies to fund those LPRs. And in fact, we're getting ready to fly out to California and look at a drone patrol program. We've been using our drones for certain types of patrols, but there's a municipality out in California that they dispatch drones to a lot of their 911 calls, and it helps the first responding officers to get much needed information before they get there. So we're really excited about going out there and seeing that new technology. And so, having said that, am I taking questions now or?
Yes, you can. Does
Okay,
anyone have, oh, I'm sorry.
oh yeah, so I know that there's been a lot of misinformation floating around about different things associated with the police department. And I would encourage you all, if you have any questions about that information, please don't be afraid to ask, because I've told Councilwoman Rowell I'm an open book when it comes to these sort of things. And we want to make sure that we're being as transparent with our citizens as we can, so that we can maintain that level of trust between you and this police department, because we've done a lot of really good things in the police department over the past 4 years. And while we've had some challenges, like I said in a press conference, I'm not going to let one or two people define an entire organization. And so if there are any questions that you all have of me about anything that you've seen or heard, or anything about crime statistics, I'd be more than happy to answer those right now.
I have a question though.
Yes.
My question is, what is the speed limit for bikes?
Motorcycles or?
Yeah. Motorcycles, yeah.
Oh, it's the same as every other vehicle. It depends on the speed zone that you're traveling through. It's no different. Any motorized vehicle that has, I'm trying to remember the CCs. I'm wanting to say it's 650 CCs or greater. You have to abide by the speed limits that are posted, but don't quote me on that. I'm wanting to say it's 650 CCs or greater.
The reason I asked that question is, I see all these young guys, the rate at which they speed, and I just wondered if it's the same with, cars, and they'll be, just moving in and out.
Yes, it's the same
speed.
Yeah, the speed zones and the speed zones in every speed, it applies to all of the motorized vehicles on the road.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ivory, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have a couple of questions for the chief. One is, in the middle of the night, maybe before 12, and sometimes it go on for several hours, I hear noises south of me. I am on Vanderbilt Road, so if you go south on Eno Road, heading toward the Cliftondale area from Camp Creek Parkway, there is a lot of noise, and I don't know whether they're racing down there or what. But has anyone ever come down there in the middle of the night, 2 or 3 in the morning, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, to find out what is going on? That's one question, because it is a nuisance. But I'll let you answer that, and then I ask my second one.
So we have gotten some noise complaints there about engines revving, if that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Right. And our traffic unit has set up some stings to try to go down there to find out if people are, just revving their engines, or if they're doing stunts down there. But yeah, we're constantly getting those calls back off in there. So I would encourage you to continue to call in the hopes that at some point, when we do respond, that we'll be able to catch some of those individuals. Because what we try to do when we get a pattern of certain types of behaviors, we try to schedule our traffic unit, especially as it relates to vehicle, whether they're racing or just revving motors. We try to schedule our traffic people to accommodate those patterns that we're seeing. And so the more calls we get identifying times, the better it is for us. In fact, the email that I sent to the council today talked about how we were narrowing down timeframes, and that's how we were actually able to catch the individuals that were involved in that theft ring, because we look at times and we have to be guided by intelligence and data. And so please make sure you make those calls every time you're hearing that, every time you hear that happening, so that we can kind of make sure that we're gathering the right type of intelligence. And by the way, my officer just texted me. Apparently I was way off. It's not 600 50 cc's is 49 cc's. I don't know where I got 650 from. But as you can tell, I'm not a car person. So he says it's 49 cc's.
Let me respond to what you just said. Wouldn't it be better to maybe assign somebody? I mean, we just got the proposed budget for the city of South Fulton recently, and it is abhorrent to see what the tax, well, first of all, the budget, I went to the meeting for that, and then to receive the taxes and to see what we're paying down here compared to every city in the north. I think every city that's over 40 millage is a city where the residents are predominantly Black and the leadership is Black, predominantly Black. That is of concern to me. So it seems to me that you all would since we have such a fat budget, that you could assign a couple of officers that we wouldn't have to call, because if you call the 911 number or call the other number, they'll tell you that, well, this is Fulton County or whatever. So you get the runaround. And to me, we pay enough taxes to have somebody dedicated to try to address this problem. Now you can respond to that, but I also wanted the second question, because I know other people probably have questions too. And that is on Vanderbilt Road, which is what, it's a very short street between Enon and Union Roads.
Right.
It is the main pass through for all the traffic going to Westlake High School. And they drive through here sometimes as if they're on the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Okay.
And it's frightening. Something needs to be done. I don't know whether you need to consider speed, whatever, something to break the speed, because I'm about in the middle. And when they pass by my house, sometimes it appears, I'm not in the car with them, obviously, but it seems like they are driving around 60 miles an hour, so, which is very, very excessive. And if a child were to run out, it would be impossible for that car to stop. This is not a speedway, but it's being treated that way. And I really think that the city, the police department needs to address that before there is a horrible accident. Because if there is, you better believe I'm going to be coming forward to say how many times I have complained about it and asked for help, because I believe in trying to prevent something, if at all possible.
So you said a lot. So let me say this about assigning someone. We have 700 subdivisions in the city of South Fulton, and everybody has complaints about noise and speeding and things of that nature. And so what we try to do, we try to make sure that we collect the appropriate data so that we can respond to things effectively. I think it's important for the citizens to call, because if I assign someone everywhere where people complain about problems, it will require us to have almost 3,000 police officers, because I get complaints about shots fired in some areas, speeding in other areas, people, dogs barking in other areas. And, we have to be mindful of that. And so the best way for us to do that, to tackle these problems, is sometimes through the use of technology. One of the things we're doing is we're trying to leverage technology so that we can create efficiencies within our department, so that we don't have to try to assign people to be in certain geographical areas. When you talk about 700 subdivisions, I guarantee you there's a person in every subdivision that has a complaint about something, public safety or something in their particular community. It's going to take everyone engaged in these processes to make sure that we're able to impact them appropriately. Now, I've said this repeatedly, if you just leave it up to your police department to solve the problems in your community, you're going to fail. That's 100% of the time, because priorities change for every organization from time to time. Today, it might be speeding. Tomorrow, it might be, people shooting guns in the air, which we went through a period of that where every other day somebody was shooting guns in the air. And so we just have to work together as a community to try to tackle these problems and not just put everything on one particular side of the fence. And so I understand what you're saying, and I hear the amount of tax dollars that you're spending, but you couldn't hire enough police officers to tackle every problem in the city of South Fulton that people have to complain about. You couldn't hire enough. And so I'm going to encourage everybody to remain engaged, continue to make those phone calls. if you're getting the runaround from 911, please, those are the sort of conversations that we should be having here, in this forum, because I've said this to the council person. I mean, we spend a lot of money, pay a lot of money to Fulton County for E911 services. And I promise you, we're not getting that level of service from them. And so it's going to be important for us to put the onus on them to help provide the type of service commensurate with the dollars that we're spending for E911 service. It's going to take the citizens, as well as me as the police chief, working with them to try to make sure that we get that level of service somewhere in the neighborhood where we're all comfortable as a community. And so for the second part of your question, the mayor and council has been very gracious in terms of being able to set traffic dollars aside for traffic calming. Councilwoman Rowell has been a big proponent of helping us to, look at areas where we can make a greater impact through the traffic calming efforts. And so, to that extent, I would encourage us to have those sort of conversations where you would like to see speed bumps. Legally, where can we put them? Are there speed detection devices that you would like to see in certain areas? Because believe it or not, all of these things help in the way of being able to slow traffic down. Because as I said, if we had to put a police officer on every street, you couldn't hire enough to do that and then tackle crime at the same time. And so let's work together on these issues so that we can make the type of impact that we all want to see and the results that we all want to realize. I hope I answered your question. Disappeared on me.
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Okay.
You answered mine. Yeah, you did the best that you could. You did.
Pastor McNary, you're next.
Yes, Chief Meadows, thank you for your leadership and for your service.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
I wanted to share into the process conversation about the community and policing. Recently, we've experienced an increase in crime issues related to our church location on Campbellton Road. Just last week, we had 2 catalytic converters stolen from church vehicles. We were able to file the report, but in terms of requesting increased attention to the area, because there's a lot of things from trash dumping to everything else on that major thoroughfare that shouldn't be going on. So I hear you on the issues of the different calls and what's there. But this being on a major thoroughfare, we're quite concerned that when we go to file a report, this is not a slight against residential requests, but there's not a way on the portal for a church or a local business to request increased attention. Everything is geared toward vacationing away from home. And so that's something that hopefully will be a quick fix, so that businesses, particularly small businesses and churches, can request more attention online that right now we can't. The officer said that he would also make that request for us, but otherwise we would have to go in person to the Bun Street or to the main office to make the request. And of course, that's not always the case. That's one issue. And then on the trending, this whole thing with catalytic converters, that's an economic impact on the church. So it's not a small crime. When the van is not operating, there are people who can't get to church, which means they can't give offerings, which means there's an economic impact to that. And then we've got to either deal with the insurance company or pay to have that replaced.
Right.
And so we've increased the lighting. We're doing so to give you the other part, we're doing some increased camera action that we're going to have covering our entire property. And we're increasing the signage, letting people know we're going to be 24/7 surveillance and we're going to prosecute. What we don't want is we don't want impediments to that.
Okay.
And so that's one case. And then the other case has to do with the school cameras.
Okay.
We have an ongoing concern, particularly there. We're good partners with our neighbor, Sandtown
Mhm.
Middle School.
Right.
But we have a concern that when that camera was installed during the pandemic, there's some issues about placement and about underground things that were dug up, and we were not included in that process. I am personally pretty engaged in what's going on in the community, and we have let GDOT know, since Hamilton Road is a state highway, we
Mhm.
let GDOT know that if it's 2 inches on the church property, that shouldn't have happened. So,
Right.
so we're hopeful that we can work this out. Again, I see these as process issues. Again, I want to just affirm you in your role and leadership.
Right.
But we also we're going to stay engaged, and we want to raise those concerns.
So,
Thank you.
you know, the one about the extra patrol request, that's really concerning to me. Sergeant Gittens, when people go on to our portal, are they able to fill out extra patrol requests no matter where they're located, whether they're a business or residential?
I thought they were, Chief, but I will check on that. I'll get with Lieutenant Nick tomorrow, and we will look into that to see if there's anything on the IT side that we can do to implement the businesses to actually be able to request those extra checks and patrol. So I will check on that first thing in the morning.
Yeah, Reverend McNary, I don't think that we drew a distinction between residential and business extra patrol requests. I thought you had the ability to go in and fill out a form that would be read at roll call to beat officers so that they would know to come by that particular location. But let me double check on that, because
As of this week, it's not possible.
okay, okay.
For anything other than a residential.
And I know that we've been in the process of upgrading our platform. Let me explain to you about the website. The police department doesn't have its own website. There's a city website that we all participate in. And then they come to us and ask us what functionality we want to see in the website. And so what we tell them, we want our citizens to be able to go on there and fill out extra patrol requests, that we want them to be able to engage with our police department in a more meaningful way, in terms of, there's some reports that you can go on there and fill out yourself if you don't want to wait for a police officer. It gives you a list of things that you can actually go on there and fill out the report for yourself. And then a police officer takes the data that you put in there and goes and puts it into another report, and they'll reach out to you and kind of further that. But I just want to make sure that we're providing that type of service, because I was under the impression that we set it up the way that that you were suggesting. But I'm going to have Sergeant Gittens to go back and double check on that, and just to make sure. Now, as far as the placement of the cameras, we didn't get the opportunity to pick those locations. That was done by GDOT. Anytime we put those cameras up on a state route, they tell us exactly where we have to put them. Now, I don't know if it's in the right of way. Well, yeah, they are in the right of way. I mean, what am I talking about? And so I think that what they did was they went down and they gauged the difference between where the right of way, where the edge of the street was, and where the right of way existed, and they just put them there. But I'll go back and check with GDOT to see what criteria they used to determine why we had to put the cameras where they were. But at the end of the day, we certainly do want to make sure we have those conversations with the property owners as well. And the catalytic converter piece is, South Fulton has seen an increase in precious metal thefts, where people have been going and pulling up fiber. We've seen the catalytic converter thefts increase. And one of the things that we've done is that we've gone to the recyclers and we've started working with them, and we've identified several perpetrators just by going to the recyclers and working through them. And we've made several arrests here recently as it relates to copper thefts and the fiber, I'm saying copper thefts. And so what I'd like to do is to make sure that our investigators get with you to see if we were able to identify any of the individuals selling catalytic converters also. Because like you're saying, that's a huge expense for most people. And we certainly don't want our churches impacted negatively in that way.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, Reverend McNary, do you have my cell phone number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please, anytime you have questions or concerns, like please, I know people say all the time, well, I didn't want to bother you. Listen, that is really what I'm here for. So please, if you have those sort of problems, make sure you just reach out to me so that, because usually more often than not, we have a strategy that we're working on to help that's geared toward certain things that certain trends that we're seeing. And we certainly don't want, your organization to be left out of those planning phases.
Hey, Chief, real quick, this is Sergeant Gibbons. I just spoke to Lieutenant Nick. I can give Reverend McNary my cell phone number, my city cell phone number, and there is actually no difference between the residential check on that and the commercial check. All of it is one and the same, and it's actually goes by the address. So if Rev needs me to give him my cell phone number, I can actually assist him to walk him through the portal if he needs
Okay,
that.
please.
Yes,
please.
yes, please do, because I'm pretty adept at that. But there are two dynamics. One is it has to be under, that we went by the church address, but what it requires, the form is not according to that. So I would encourage him to look again, because we had a couple of people at the church also look at it and it was not there, but we will call you and work through it.
Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah.
I just put my number in the chat there if anybody needs it. That's my city cell phone number, so you can feel free to reach out to me anytime you need to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sergeant Gibbons is part of our community policing, section. As a matter of fact, he's the supervisor over there. So we want to make sure that, those are the sort of services that we encourage our citizens to take advantage of. Even with the young lady that was talking about the vehicles that were revving, you could go in and put information like that into the form itself, just so that when the supervisors get them, they read those things at roll call to the officers, so that the officers can be mindful of it. So let's all engage in that process so that we can share the intelligence and the information that you all have in your communities.
Well, I have a question, but I think you answered it. There are over off of Wallace Road there, we've been hearing based on some of the community meetings that we've had of the traffic and the issues over off of Wallace Road during certain times of the day. It's usually during the school hours, like in the morning and in the afternoon. However, I drove down this afternoon so I could kind of get a feel for what they were talking about. And I didn't experience a lot of traffic, but I don't drive it every day. So it could be on certain days or whatever. But
Right.
I think what you're saying is when you do have traffic issues or you do want some extra patrol to help you, if they need somebody to help them with the traffic issue there, they just need to go onto this portal and put the complaint in.
Yeah, we try to stay driven by data and intelligence, and so that's extremely important for us to know when these things are happening. I mean, a lot of times we'll pull 911 calls and we'll sit down and we'll analyze them to see where they're coming. And to the young lady's point earlier, if we're seeing that we're getting a lot of 911 calls, then we will assign a person to that particular area so that we can try to, or we'll formulate some sort of strategy so that we can kind of catch the people. Because if you just assign somebody there and they see a police officer there, then they're just going to go somewhere else and engage in their activity, or it might be right around the corner. And then by the time the police officer gets around the corner, they're gone. And we have a no chase policy in the city of South Fulton. So being able to get that intelligence and putting the strategy in place, to try to get these individuals before they're able to take off, before they're able to start running, becomes more important to us than actually just chasing the individuals, because we have the technology out there. The license plate readers are out there. And so if you're able to help us engage that technology more meaningfully, then it kind of helps us in a way of being able to identify who these people are. And ultimately we can just take out warrants for them and go get them if we're able to do that. or if we can't identify the person, we can certainly go get the car if we can identify the vehicle. So.
Mhm. Thank you. Are there any other questions? Go ahead, Donald.
There was someone that had their hand raised. I put it down mistakenly. So whoever it was, I apologize.
I believe that was myself. Good evening, Chief, favorite Chief. This is this is
Hey.
Juanita. How you
Hey,
doing?
how are you today?
I'm
That's my I call her the tractor trailer lady.
I am honored. I am honored, Chief. Look, Chief, first of all, I want to thank you for your diligence in extending
Thank you.
yourself, and also our City Councilwoman, Catherine Rowell. You have been absolutely excellent to us. We appreciate all the work that you all do. Actually, Catherine has been working with me also to exploit some of those things that you mentioned, like speed bumps and other things in the community that we can do to eliminate the trucks. But I'm
Right.
going to need some help, Chief, okay?
Right.
And I know you know that I'm on it. I'm diligent about it, but I'm going to need some help because the trucks is absolutely absurd. I guess
Right.
you can see from the time that they spent out here today. Question, is it possible that you could schedule them like for 2 hours a day?
Well, that's what they did today. They went out there and they spent 2 hours there. Then they moved over to Cascade and they spent 2 hours over there. And then they went to New Hope and spent another 2 hours over there. And so that's what I'm asking them to do because right now it's districts 1 and 3 that are impacted the most by
Okay.
the tractor trailers. And so we have a traffic unit. So we're putting half the traffic unit over there in that area and letting them focus on that. Now, having said that, doing it 5 days a week, 7 days a week become problematic because we have speeding that we have to address in certain areas. Then we have, certain areas. They also have to go back and certify every one of those school zone tickets. So our traffic unit has a lot on their plate because we have quite a few complaints as it relates to that. So we try to divide up their time to address most of the concerns that our constituents have.
Now, Chief, you mentioned 3 streets. You mentioned Cascade, Boat Rock, and New Hope.
Right.
If the trucks are stopped on Cascade and Boat Rock, they will not be on New Hope. So the time that they waste on New Hope is fruitless. If you can shut them down on Cascade, they won't come on to New Hope. And if
Right.
they're shut down on Boat Rock, they won't be on New Hope. So New Hope is almost a frivolous effort.
Yeah, and see, that's what we'll see if we're able to block them off from coming up there. But for some reason, we get a lot of complaints from people on New Hope about the tractor trailers, and they
Well,
we don't have to,
because they're coming off of Boat Rock.
right. And see, so if we're on Cascade and they're coming down Boat Rocks, we just need to make sure that we're strategically placed so that if they're coming from one area to the next, that we're able to intercept them. And that's the big thing, because a lot of times, if they think they can go up to the next street and cut down Cascade, then they'll do that. And then they'll go over to Boat Rock and snake back down through the different neighborhoods and so forth. So it's just important for them not to get too used to our patterns, basically, is what I'm saying. If they see us on Boat Rock every day, then they're just going to go up and go down Cascade. So we just need to be a little more strategic in how we move people around from time to time.
Okay. And I'll be sure to maximize all the opportunities you mentioned today, including
Right.
the website. The
Right.
second question. Now, I know that you all were very transparent about the the ticket system that you placed at the schools.
Yes.
Can you share with us where these cameras are that they GDOT placed out today?
Can I share with you where they are?
Yes.
So at every school zone, we have them at every single school zone. We have 16 school zones in the city of South Fulton. And the cameras are put up before the school zone, right where the school zone starts, where the school zone starts on each side. So like, let's say if you see the cameras on Campbellton, where Sandtown Middle School is, you have a camera at the beginning of the school zone, and then you have a camera at the end of the school zone, and it catches people going in both directions. But before you get to those cameras, we have a speed detection device to let people know what their speed is. And then you have the flashing lights, and then you have the speed signs. And so you have like different layers of things that you have to travel through even before you get to the cameras because a lot of times people were saying, well, I just came right up on the cameras. No, there's several different things that you have to go through before you even get to those cameras to alert you that you're coming into a school zone.
Okay. Now, are you saying that right now we only have the cameras at the school zones? We don't have any additional cameras that are randomly placed in the city?
Oh, no, we have cameras all over the city. I'm trying to expand that. The cameras. What we're using is the monies from that to invest in more technology. I mentioned it earlier. We're putting most of the license plate readers have cameras associated with, well, all of them have cameras associated with them. And so we're putting those up all over the place. And we have an agreement with this company called Fusus, where all of our cameras go into this fusion center of sorts. And so what we're going to do when we build our new police headquarters is we're going to build a real-time crime center where we're able to put analytics over the top of all of the cameras that's coming into those into the real-time crime center. Our goal is to be able to marry our crime statistics with the analytics that's captured from the cameras, so that eventually the cameras will be able to be manipulated to meet crime patterns and trends that exist within the community. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, let me say it a little differently. So if a burglary happens across the street from your house and a camera is focused on your house, that does us no good. If we put a layer of predictive analytics over the top of it, the analytics will say, you need to move that camera, or the camera needs to be moved to face across the street to accommodate that particular trend and pattern. So you don't have police officers trying to manipulate 300 to 400, 500 cameras at one time. The analytics does it for you to meet the predictive analytics that we want to see. And so that's our long-term goal, to make sure that we're making the most out of the intelligence that's coming into the police department, and also making sure that we're using technology to create the types of efficiencies that we want to see. I think I mentioned that earlier.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Chief Meadows. And to let you know, we're a team. We're all on one team, and we're going to help you make it a great city. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Ms.
you.
Mulberry.
Any other questions for Chief Meadows?
Yeah, I have one, Deputy Chief Meadows. The camera speed limit inside of the school zone, is it time limited? Meaning does it apply during school hours as it does 11:30 at night?
No. So here's the thing: the school zone, the speed limit in the school zones, when the lights are flashing, is 25 miles per hour. That's an hour before school, and that's an hour after school. And so the hour before school starts, the lights are flashing, and they flash up until the time school starts, and then they flash an hour after school starts. So there's like a 2-hour window in the morning and a 2-hour window in the afternoon where the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. Now, during the school day, if you exceed the speed limit during the day, the posted speed limit, which in some is 45 miles per hour, some is 35, depending on the school zone, you'll be issued a ticket in the middle of the school day. After the school day is let out, in other words, after that 2-hour window in the afternoon where the lights are flashing, after that time period, no citations are issued.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of times people say, well, I got a ticket from 11 o'clock at night. Well, there are 3 different times it's on that ticket: the time that you entered the school zone, the time that you left the school zone, and the time that the police officer certified that ticket. Sometimes we have police officers that are at work and they're certifying tickets at 11 o'clock at night. And somebody will come up and say, well, I got a ticket at 11 o'clock. Well, I mean, you really have to pay attention to the times that's in there. Because quite frankly, a lot of times people look at the time that is the certified time and automatically equate that to the time that the infraction occurred. But that's not necessarily the case. Well, that's not the case.
Okay. And one other thing you mentioned about that City of South Fulton has a no chase policy.
We do. You're only able to chase under if a felony has occurred, a violent felony has occurred. a lot of times we found that it's not beneficial for people to chase just in a stolen vehicle. We've had quite a few deaths as it relates to, those chases. One of the things that we're looking at doing right now is I'm working with a vendor. If you take something away, you have to replace it with something. I'm a firm believer of it. I'm working with a vendor to try to help develop a drone that is attached to the top of a patrol vehicle so that if a car takes off on a police officer, you push one button, it goes up. It's able to eliminate every vehicle on the street except the vehicle that the stolen vehicle in question. And so if we're able to put enough of those up in the air, then chasing really essentially becomes a moot point, and it eliminates the danger associated with it. And so I'll keep saying it over and over again. We want to make sure that we're using technology to create efficiencies. This vendor that we're working with said that there's nothing like that being done anywhere in the country. I got the idea from a 9-year-old kid. It was amazing. I was just sitting there talking to him. He said, "Why don't y'all just get drones to follow them?" And I started thinking about it. And I started kicking the idea back and forth with this company that we have a relationship with, and they were very interested in building that.
Chief Meadows, do we have shot spotters in the city?
Shot spotter is a very expensive technology. It's they have sensors, and each one of the sensors costs $150,000, and the sensors only cover a radius mile. And so we have almost 100 square miles. So the math kind of tells you that that it would be extremely expensive for us to integrate that technology. One of the things that we are looking at is a substitute technology that integrates with our body cameras. Mm-hmm. It's a much cheaper version of ShotSpotter, because I've sat down and had dinner with the CEO of ShotSpotter, and I told him that he needed to make ShotSpotter more accessible and more affordable for smaller cities. Cities like Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, LA, they all can afford it. Mm-hmm. That level of technology. And so what's getting ready to replace ShotSpotter are these younger companies that's coming up, that's figuring out ways to make the technology cheaper. And they're working with a lot of the smaller municipalities in an effort to try to help test it. And so we're getting ready to start trying to test ours with utility, where if a police officer is out and a shot happens, it'll triangulate. You put sensors out in the field and it'll triangulate the shots with where the police officer's body cameras are located, because we have the ability, we have gunshot detection built in our body cameras. And so it becomes more important for the technology to be integrated with other pieces of technology. That way you don't have to spend $150,000 on a sensor. And so I'm really excited about that as a potential moving forward, because I know we had it in Atlanta. It wasn't as effective as I thought that it needed to be. But when you start talking about integrating technology with technology that's worn by our police officers, to me, that's a game changer.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, are there any other questions for Chief Meadows? Harvey?
I'm unmuting. Yes, I was wondering, Chief, if at some point we'll explore bait cars.
And we've had discussions with nationwide insurance companies, the Department of Revenue. There are insurance companies that's willing to give us bait cars. I did the show bait car for 2 seasons in Atlanta, and I tell you something, it's very effective. We're looking at it right now. The technology with respects to bait cars is changing. We just want to make sure that we have the right strategies in place. A lot of people just put bait cars out and just leave them and just wait for them to, you want to make sure that you have the right kind of personnel responding to those so that you can make sure you're responding appropriately. But we had some really good strategies in Atlanta. They're costly, but we're trying to get the insurance companies to pay for them. They much rather do it in areas where the problems are more significant. I don't want to say that our auto theft problem is not significant, but it's not as significant as most of the municipalities in the area. I think Miss Marbury asked, what is a bait car? So a bait car is it's a vehicle that people could break into it and they could drive off in it, and you have the ability to shut it down from a remote location. And it has the bait car that we had in Atlanta, it had steel rods running through the door so that when you shut it down, the steel rods fell down and you couldn't kick the door open. I mean, you were just literally trapped inside of the vehicle. And so
cameras.
Right, and they have cameras all around inside of the vehicle. And so those are the sort of strategies that that larger municipalities usually deploy, but also we want to make sure that we're putting them in the right areas. We have a problem with tow trucks picking up vehicles and taking them to crushers. And so we try to make sure that when we see unlicensed tow trucks, that we're engaging those people as well. So bait cars right now, it's something that we're taking a serious look at. We just want to make sure that we put the right strategies around it.
Are there any other questions? This has been a dynamic conversation, and we appreciate Chief Meadows sharing all of this information.
Absolutely, anytime.
And if there are no other questions, Chief Jones was not able to attend, but his assistant chief, Gittens, is here, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I apologize. Our Chief Jones apologized. He couldn't make it. He had another meeting he had to attend, so I'm filling for him. Our call volume is steady right now. About 8% of what we respond to is emergency medical calls. So our call volume is steady. The one issue that we're having in our city is there's more and more car wrecks every day. So we're responding to more and more motor vehicle accidents. So make sure everybody slows down and stays safe. We finished out our 2022 budget, and we started our 2023 budget, started October 1st. We're excited about that. One big highlight that we have is we purchased 3 new engines and 1 new ladder truck this year. And we're doing upgrades to apparatus and stations in the 2023 budget as well. We have 14 recruits that are going to recruit class right now. They'll be getting out in January. In January, we're starting another recruit class, hire more individuals. Fall weather's here. I love the weather. It feels good, a little chilly in the morning. Make sure you check your furnaces, please. Make sure you change your filters in your furnaces. Check your smoke detectors as well. Remember this, when you change your time, you should change the batteries in your smoke detector. If you don't have a smoke detector, let us know. More than welcome to come out and install them for you. So just let us know on that. October is Fire Prevention Month. So watch our social media. We'll be giving tips for fire prevention. Make sure we have Halloween coming up. If we trick or treat, make sure that our children are well lit, please. Make sure you know they have flashlights and make sure they're very visible. Make sure that you're signed up in Falcon. This is Fulton County Alerting System, and it's found on the FCMO website, Atlanta Fulton County Emergency Management Agency. We were awarded $3,000 in grants, and that was an EMS grant, and that went to training to help train our emergency medical technicians for our new recruits. We got a $1,000 donation from Owens Corner of Atlanta. And my last thing is COVID and flu update. COVID is still rampant. It's slowing down a little bit, but it's still there. Make sure that you get your vaccine. I just got my 5th vaccine on Sunday. And it's a new Omicron vaccine as well. But you have to wait 2 months between each vaccination. So if you had your 3rd and 4th shot, you gotta wait 2 months from the time that you got your 3rd shot. Make sure that you get your flu shot as well. Flu season's coming up. Let's see here. The city has planned many events with vaccinations. And if you're a city resident, you sign up, you can receive a $100 gift card from COVID vaccine. So make sure if you sign up and if you're a city resident, you get a gift card. And the city still has a mask mandate. So if you ever come to headquarters or City Hall, make sure you get a mask up front. Other than that, that's all I have. One thing we need to look out for, and I'm sure y'all probably heard on the news, is Atlanta Medical Center is closing. I think, I want to say the 14th is the last day that they'll take patients to the ER. This will affect Grady EMS responding because they'll have to go further outside of the city. So we may have some slow response time, but fire will definitely be there on the scene with you guys. We have just as much capabilities on our ALS advanced life support engines as Grady does on the ambulance. So once we get there, you won't have delayed care because we'll take care of you. You just may have a delay in your transport to the hospital. One thing that we will start doing if it gets kind of bad on more serious calls, we will start calling for the helicopter because we're not going to sit on the scene forever on a severe trauma or severe medical patient and just sit there. We're not going to do that. So be prepared. We start using life flight a little more, and we're working to get a service level agreement with Grady as well. That's something that we're looking to do. Other than that, that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Could
Chief
you
Meadows,
talk?
questions?
Well, I had a
Yes.
question about outdoor burning ban is being lifted and precautions people should take and the procedures before they burn.
No, the ban has not been lifted. Let me double check with our community risk reduction, and I'll give more information on that for our next meeting, or make sure Chief Jones gets more information on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I guess Chief Meadows got them all, didn't
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for filling in. Glad to have you.
he? You're welcome. Like I said, if y'all need smoke detectors installed, just let us know, and we're more happy to come out and install your smoke detectors. Or when batteries come around, if y'all need batteries, let us know. We have plenty of them, and we're more than happy to come out and install them. Or either go by the firehouse, one of the two. Okay.
Someone with
Mr. Gittens,
the last name of Stevens had their hand up.
oh, I need to put my hand up. Sorry.
That's okay, Daphne, just a second. But it looks like Stevens took the hand down, so go ahead.
I can go. Okay. So I'm with Sandtown Center subdivision, and every year we contact the fire department to do that fire prevention event where you go to the residents who signs up for you to check their smoke detectors. So I want to do that again, but who do I contact? I'm not sure if it's the same contact.
Let me see. Contact Chief Hilda Moses. Community risk reduction and education falls under her. So Chief Moses, Hilda Moses.
Can you put that in the chat? Is that okay for you to put that in the chat? So I'll have it when you
Yeah.
get a chance.
Yeah, I
Okay.
will. I'll do it before I log off. I'll put her email and her phone
Okay.
number. Well, okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
One thing that we're looking to do fairly soon is to do community hands-on CPR. That's one thing that we're looking at to do. So
That's nice.
and get the community trained up in CPR. So that's one thing that my goal is before June to start rendering classes. And we can either come out to the community or we can do it at the fire station and have the community come to the local fire stations.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Mrs. Francesca Warren is not with us today from Fulton County, but she gave us some information that she's having a community meeting on October 17th. And so hopefully you all will be able, those who are interested in attending her meetings will come. We're gonna jump around a little bit. Councilman Rowell, we're gonna go ahead and give you an opportunity to give an update.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to give an update. I'm glad we had the opportunity to engage with Chief Meadows. And while we love all the police department, it is a treat to have the chief join us. So I want to thank him for that. Couple of updates. Recently we dealt with a zoning case that I want to give people an update on. Many of you have participated in previous calls relative to the project at 2210 Wallace Road. We had a community meeting this week. And based on that, we've kind of the developer modified the plan from the original submission that came before this body. And she was here last month to give an update. But since that time, some additional updates have been made. And as it relates to that project, they're all single family homes. It's a 29 houses in total. 7 of them are available for families. She'll have 2 for her children. And then there's a total of 20 that are senior housing units. One of the major things we heard as a result of that meeting that people were concerned with the CUP designation. And one of the things as a follow-up to the meeting that was held at Decision Point, I said I would be working with the planning staff to have a conversation as it relates to seeing if another designation could be made on the property. At this time, one of the other major concerns was around traffic in the area. So we're trying to coordinate a meeting between Public Works and Planning to focus on those 2 issues in particular. And so we're hoping to have that scheduled or occur next week. That would be with the staff and the developer to see and talk through this project based on the feedback that we heard at the meeting that was held at Decision Point. So again, I want to thank Pastor McNary for opening this church back up. As he mentioned, that was the first one since the pandemic, and we actually had a great turnout. It was good to see so many people out and engaged. So again, thank you, Pastor McNary, for that. In addition, we have a couple things you may have noticed. The Carter Development project has gone vertical, so they're building. One of the things that we should see in probably about the next, hopefully next month at the council meeting is their proposal to subdivide the parcel. That will allow the commercial to come in. As you know, this project is a mixed-use development and is slated to have retail along Hamilton Road, at least 2 buildings and 1 along Riverside Drive. So I recently had an opportunity to talk to the developer, and they're going through the process with the city. So we should see that next month. In addition, I was able to get a quick update just a little bit before this call as it relates to the Sandtown Village project, which is a mixed-use development at Camp Creek and Hamilton Road. And let me pull this up because I want to make sure I'm reading it or reflecting it accurately. Again, just got this literally minutes before we got on the call. It says that as it relates to the Hutch development, GDOT has granted preliminary approval on the project design, which is the first important step for the project to move forward. They don't have their formal approval yet, but they hope it will follow soon. Second, the roundabout package will be submitted to GDOT early next week. And Hutch Development, it has placed $100,000 in escrow in furtherance of the desired intersection improvements at Hamilton Road and Camp Creek Parkway. The Public Works Director is speaking directly with GDOT about this issue, and they hope to be able to move forward with submitting the required tree replacement plan to the city within the next 2 weeks. What's key about that, again, if you take down trees in our city, you have to replenish them. We have a tree bank in the city. And so again, what winds up happening is developers don't take as many trees out because they have to pay if they do that. And so that keeps our buffers nice and plentiful. So again, they're working through all these steps concurrently. So the project is moving along. Wanted to make you aware, Elizabeth Baptist Church has a Family Fun Fest on October 31st from 5 to 9 p.m. at the church in the parking lot for children to enjoy, children and families. So if you get an opportunity, come out. And I think I'll kind of leave it there and just open it up for questions that people may have.
Does anyone have any questions? Well, I did a drive around today, y'all. And it was nice to see that Carter development. As a matter of fact, I mean, the clubhouse that sits out front, I mean, you can tell that's what it is. They are moving right along. And as I drove down Stonewall Tail and got to Eden Road, right, if you go further down in Cliftondale at that intersection on the other end, they have closed it off now because the roundabout is coming. Isn't that what's happening at that intersection?
Correct.
And so the roundabout is coming there. Drove on down Enon, crossed Camp Creek, went down Wallace Road looking for traffic to understand what's happening. So there's a lot of good things that are happening in the community, and we just all have to, work together to make sure that we make it the way that we want it to be. I reached out to Mr. Ramal. Hopefully I have pronounced his name correctly. I don't know if you all remember back in 2021, he presented to us it's a hotel resort type facility, and he had an issue with family members with COVID and all of that. Well, the project, he's still doing it. But he said to me he will get with his board, and in the next couple of days, I should get an update on where they are with that development. When you get down to Stonewall Tail and to the right, we worked on that development. All of that land has been cleared off. They're putting in, I guess, infrastructure or whatever, but that project is ongoing as well. It's, so it's a lot of things happening. So now what I would like for any of you who have something to share, I think Donald, you have something to share, and Stephanie, if you would, I would ask you to talk to the community about the coat drive on November 12th. And so go ahead, Donald.
Hey, Debbie, Delphine will be speaking on behalf of the Sandtown Center subdivision. Delphine?
Hi, everyone. I was trying to see if I can get on video so you can see my face. Let's see. Oh, there I am. Hi.
Hello.
So I know most of you, but my name, for those who I don't know, my name is Delphine Nass. And although I give back to the community as being on the board for Sandtown Center subdivision and doing many other things, I'm also the founder of Flavored Fitness. So it is time for all of you to add some flavor in your fitness. Okay, so this Saturday, August 8th, from 9 until 3, we have the fitness extravaganza, which what Donald is showing on the screen right now. And it's going to be right here in our subdivision, Sandtown Center. So it's 1510 Sand Bay Drive. And we have different flavors of fitness. As you can see on the schedule, you have yoga, activation prime time. And just for $10, you're going to get all-inclusive access to all fitness activities and a swag bag. But there are free, there are a lot of free items, so free things to do. So for instance, the neighborhood bike ride, you can do that activity for free. And then we also have the tennis round robin for those who play tennis. That's also free. And then we partnered with the city of South Fulton. So they're going to be giving out free produce bags, giving cooking demonstrations, and there's going to be more giveaways. So I invite all of you, men and women, to come out and add some flavor to your fitness. And I hope to see you all this Saturday.
Wonderful. Are there any questions about the event on Saturday? Harvey, can we post it on the website and on the Facebook page?
Funny that you mentioned that because I was just typing a note to Delphine towards that end. If she can send it, the flyers to me at harvey@sandtown.org, I can post them.
I have an email address. I'm on the board.
Okay.
I got you.
Good, good,
Thank you.
wonderful. Any questions? Any other questions for Delphine? Well, it's good to see you. It's been a while, but it's good to see you. Stephanie,
Thank you.
are you there?
I am here. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
I am working along with the Sandtown Community Association and Fire Marshal Dinger for this clothing drive. Fire Marshal Dinger does this every year, so I think this is a good project for us to help support her. So what we're going to do is have like a drop-off drive-through in the public shopping center, Sandtown Crossing Shopping Center, from 10 to 2. People could drop off their new items. This is for adults and children. And what she does is they distribute those closer to Christmas, but we're going to start early with doing the clothing drive to help her out. She's been doing this for several years, and it benefits the families that are living in hotels. So that's Saturday, November 12th from 10 to 2. I do need some volunteers to kind of help set up and just help get things organized that day. And also, if each one of you could be a champion in your subdivision and encourage people to donate. If they are not able to pass by that day, Miss Federica with Sandtown Pub is going to have a drop-off place there. And they could always drop off at the fire department as well. But we're doing this collectively Saturday, November 12th from 10 to 2. Any questions?
So more like a comment, Stephanie. This is Delphine. We met at the hiking trail. I've been seeing this flyer like everywhere. I didn't know that you were part of this. So this is. I just want you to know that it's really out there. It's being communicated.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. We should have a great turnout. One of the other things I wanted to mention is that this is an opportunity if the Sandtown Association wants to have a table or share information about anything, try to get new members. Councilwoman Rowell and Gums, they may have something out there. So this is an opportunity for us to engage the community and let them know about the things that we do in the community. So I think a lot of people don't know that. So this is our opportunity to shine. And speaking of shining, Councilwoman Rowell is so modest. I don't know if she shared with you guys that City of South Fulton was named #1 out of the fastest growing cities in Georgia. #1, top out of 10. So that's something for us to stick our chests out about.
Thank you for sharing. That is a good one. It really struck me when the police chief talked about having over 700 subdivisions, because I think about when we first formed the city, it was right about 400.
Wow.
So if that gives you an idea of how we've grown in 5.5 years, that says a lot. And more to come. So again, a lot of focus that I've had particularly over the next couple of years will be on our commercial development. That's a top priority, and the cleanup of Fulton Industrial. That's ground zero for me anyway. Thank you for reminding me, Stephanie.
I'm working that. I'm telling everybody, shouting through the rooftops about that. So you guys can too. That's something to be really proud of. A city that's only 5 years old, and we beat out Brookhaven and Dunwoody. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the article. Harvey, I'll send that to you as well. And we might put that on the website and on Facebook. I got the article, so we can put that out there. But yeah, I saw that as well. And
And we could have our councilwoman mention her position with GMA and the honor there.
I was recently elected to be the vice president for Region 3. Region 3 really covers all the metro counties or counties in Metro Atlanta, representing cities and kind of being the go-between and advocating for them. So I'm very excited. I got an opportunity to preside over my first meeting. It's as elected officials, we focus on professional development, making sure that we have leaders who are prepared to lead, as well as advocating under the Georgia Dome about issues that affect cities. So I'm really honored to be amongst that group and looking forward to continuing to serve GMA to help all cities. So, great opportunity.
Yep. So I put
Right.
my phone number in the chat if anybody wants to volunteer. And if I don't get any volunteers by next month, I will be calling up people to volunteer you.
You can put me on the list, Stephanie. Whatever you
All
want
right.
me to do, I'll be there.
Thank
I'll
you.
do it.
And you don't have to stay the entire time. So, you know, we're gonna just take whatever time you could give us.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll
Thank
be
you
there.
all.
Great. We'll go round robin right quick. Harvey, do you have anything? You're on mute, Harvey. You must be, you stepped away. Marilyn?
Yeah, just-
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we already talked briefly about the roundabout. We try and post a lot of current things on the Sandtown Community Association's Facebook page. It's a lot quicker for me to put it up there than on the website. So if you're not
Okay.
following the page, I encourage people to do so.
Mhm.
And that's really about it.
Okay. Marilyn? Marilyn, you're on mute.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Just want to let everybody know that if you wanted to become a financial member of the Sandtown Community Association, $25 individual, $45 for family, and $50 for your community association. And that money goes toward registration for the Secretary of State, maintaining our website, our post office box. And there's one more thing we pay. I can't think right now, but that's what we use the funds for. So thank you, and we would appreciate anything that you could send us.
And you can become a member online on our website at www. You can sign up and pay online securely through PayPal at www.sandtown.org.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Let me see. Ivory, do you have anything? Okay. Does anyone else have anything? Well,
I do.
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, it's I don't know how I forgot this, but we have some very exciting things happening at our new park, Hamilton Creek Nature Preserve, this month. First, we're doing a more of an official ribbon cutting on Friday, October 14th at 11 a.m. As you know, we kind of did our soft opening on Earth Day this year, but we've actually started the second phase of the park on the opposite side. So it's official in terms of our ribbon cutting, and we'll continue to grow and enhance this park. But if you get an opportunity on Friday, October 14th at 11 a.m., please join us for this ribbon cutting. I will be sending something out in the newsletter to remind you. In addition, on Saturday, October 15th at 8 a.m. to noon, Kennesaw State University College of Science and Mathematics will host their second outdoor classroom focused on soil and water research at the creek. It's a very exciting time, and they'll have students out there learning. So again, the natural habitats have a lot of scientists in our area very excited about our park. On October 18th, Good Day Atlanta Talk Show, Fox 5 Atlanta will broadcast live from Campbellton Creek starting at 8 a.m. So again, if you can't come out, at least tune in and look for that. And finally, on Saturday, October 22nd, there's going to be a night hike. So if you're interested, come on out. I'll be sending out these links in my newsletter. But again, a very exciting time for the area. And if you haven't been out to the park yet, please try to attend one of these upcoming activities.
Wonderful.
That reminded me of another event. October 15th is the bulky trash opportunity for people to drop off their items at the Merck Road Transfer Station. And if you're a senior, 65 or older, and you sign up before the 8th, which is a day or so from now, you can have them actually pick it up at your house. I would encourage you to do that. I think we've posted it on our Facebook page, and I'm sure it's on the city's website. It's a banner page. If you go to City of South Fulton, ga.gov, it'll pop up and tell you the details about that event.
Great. Well, y'all, it's 7:48. We finished early, on time. Thank you all for coming and participating. We will continue to have our meetings, so the next one will be in November. And we'll probably do some last minute planning at that meeting, Stephanie, for the November 12th drive. So just let me know what you want to put on the agenda and so forth. So hopefully you all will continue to have a great week, and we will see you in November. Thanks for coming. Good night.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.